Hello, everyone, and happy Monday. Welcome back to Adobe Live here at be.net/Adobe Live, which is where you actually want to be if you want to get involved fully in this amazing stream with myself, Tony Harmer, and my fabulous guest, who today is Victoria Stefania. How are you doing, Victoria?
Hi, Tony. I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, all good. Still got a little bit of the sniffles. Don't know where that's coming from, but there you are.
It's
Anyway,
that
but
time of the year now.
it is where we all get that sort of stuff. So, Victoria, we'll get to what you're going to be doing with us in just a minute. First of all, let's just make sure that we've got all of our regular guests in the community. And of course, if you want to join them, you need to be on behance.net/Adobe Live. You can watch on YouTube, but you can't play with fabulous people like some guy called Tim in the background. Sean, guten Tag, Sean. Oliver here. Laura, haven't seen your name before. Hi, Laura, welcome. Steve, that joins us from New Zealand. Kia ora, Steve. And Sandrine is there. Mike is there. There you go. So we've got some fab people. We've got the best community here, Victoria. Honestly, we really have. Great people. So, what are you going to be doing with us today? Tell me.
I will be working on a little brief from a brief community that I've got over on Instagram with two of my friends. So we'll be going over my logo process.
Yep. Okay, that's grand. I guess, though, before we get to that particular part, it'd be a good idea for people to find out a little bit more about you. So, tell me, Victoria, what would be your quickest way of telling me who you are and what you do, and then the longer way where you can show us some of your work?
Yes. Okay. So I'm Victoria. I'm Swedish, 27, 28 in a month. I've been doing design for about a little bit more than 10 years, I think.
Okay.
I started with Photoshop as a 13 or 14-year-old, long time ago.
Yeah.
And since then, I've been doing design in various forms, but just like the recent year and a half, I got really sucked into brand identity design.
Okay. Fantastic. Yeah. Okay. And you've got some of your work from your Behance profile, right, on screen for us to have a look at, I think. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. So shall we have a look through some of that too?
Sure thing. Why don't we start here?
Okay.
So this was a little project that I developed. I had a client. We were working on a makeup brand. And the way I usually work is I present two creative directions to said client when we start working. And then they pick one that they feel works best for them and their business. And then one of them is also is always the one that's never chosen, right? So
yeah,
I really loved the direction and I wanted to showcase it to the world anyways. So I changed the name and I spent some time on it as a passion project instead.
I like it.
Yes. So I did some packaging, the logo, of course, and then I did some packaging for it. Yeah.
So how are you making those mock-ups? What are you using to make the mock-ups? Are you doing that directly in Photoshop or?
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like that's the easiest way to download some really good Photoshop files and just put your artwork in there.
Yeah. So do you get like box mock-ups and then you map everything onto the box?
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty much.
I usually open the Photoshop file, check the measurements in pixels, and then I create everything in Illustrator and I copy it in as either as a pixel or a smart object into Photoshop.
Okay, that's cool. Oh, actually, I remember when I was reading about you, you said that Illustrator is your best friend now, which
definitely.
Which means we're going to have a whale of a time. So I love it. Good.
Yeah. I've been working on Photoshop for the longest, but I feel like we're not friends yet.
Okay. Photoshop can be tricky. It can be a little bit daunting when you're becoming friends with Photoshop because it's so big.
Yeah.
And it keeps changing. It keeps going, yeah, I do this now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, like as you can see in my Behance profile or on my Behance profile, I do mainly work with skincare or beauty brands. I
Yeah.
find it the most. I'm a skincare addict myself, so I really
Okay.
love all things beauty. And there's always like often there's a lot of things you can do with the packaging, which is really fun
Mm.
too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Generally tends to be pretty high end as well, right? In
Yeah,
terms of,
exactly.
you get to use all the super great finishes and yeah.
Definitely. So here's another little passion project of mine. This is a hand cream for dry hands.
Okay.
And here I wanted to go a little obvious with the hand illustrations
Mhm.
for this hand cream. This is actually I did this project when I had just got my Wacom drawing pad.
Okay.
I was really trying out to draw the hands with the brush tool in Illustrator,
Yep.
learning how to work this drawing pad.
Yeah, because that's a challenge in itself when you first get started, isn't it? It's really tricky.
Definitely.
Yeah. Making sure your hand-eye coordination is spot on.
Exactly.
Oh, and I noticed you're using a couple of variable fonts there, which I like.
Yeah.
Acumen's very good. Yeah,
Acumen is such a good one.
it is. Yeah, these are
Yeah.
cute.
Thank
I like
you.
it.
And then we have one that's completely different. The style is still pretty much me with all the pink, but the type of brand is very different for me. So we were doing this brief called Atlas Keiko
Mm.
for this brief challenge that I have on Instagram with my friends. That was a skate brand or skate gear brand from Miami, which wanted where we wanted our community to like explore something completely different to the regular street style brands.
Okay.
And so I did something with a lot of gradients.
Mm. So who comes up with the so do you alternate between you and choose
Yes,
the briefs that you're going to work on?
yes,
Did you
we
like have
have
turns and
exactly. We're three girls, Ayila
yeah,
and Olivia, and myself.
yeah.
And then we alternate between who sets like we have a whole list of like already like pre-made names.
Mm.
And then we decide like what type of brand it is. We decide like on a color palette that's free, of course, for our community to use if they want to, or they can experiment like with their own. So all
Okay.
they really need to do is like use the business name that we come up with.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's a really fun way to see like we of course work on our own briefs, but it's really fun to see like everyone else's take on the brief and to like see what like how others think and what colors they would use for a brand like that.
Yeah. Interesting. So you come up with the whole name as well. That's a cool thing to do.
Yeah.
Do you Google it like lots?
Yes.
Yeah, it's same.
Like you
Oh,
Google skincare brand name, and then there's like a name generator.
yeah, I like
Yeah.
those.
Yeah.
I did it for pharmaceuticals. It's hilarious. It's
Yeah.
good fun. Yeah. No, they're good. I know I use a lot of made up brands in my stuff.
Yeah.
I tend to register the domain and everything for them just so that there's no potential for accidents. I'm not recommending that you do that because it becomes an incredibly expensive, unwieldy thing to manage. But no, it's good fun coming up with names though.
Yeah.
What's the one with the characters with the red characters on it? Is that
This one.
well, actually, that one and the one that
Oh,
follows it.
this
Actually,
one.
they're both. Yeah, I'm kind of
This is also from one of the briefs. So this is
okay.
a skincare brand called Naked Skin, where I was experimenting a bit with the packaging and making, since there are so few letters, I wanted to make it very typographical or revolving around typography.
Yeah, I kind of like. I don't know if it's intentional or not, but I like the way that the characters clearly point in towards the center.
That's
You know,
true.
so
I
each one of
actually
the
didn't think about that.
Oh, okay. Well, it's in that case, it's what we might call a happy accident. But
Yeah.
I mean, there's a clear direction to those, and either from the character itself or from the orientation of the character. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. Those are cool.
Yeah, this was a fun one. And I think this project was really where I developed like what I would say is my design style. I like a combination of minimalism, but I love bold colors.
Yeah.
So I think this project was definitely like where that whole thing started for me.
Yeah, it's good. That wraparound label on the bottle with the eyedropper, by the way, that's become a lot easier recently in Photoshop than it used to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we have this one. This is actually for a client that I worked with, where I rebranded her business. So she was going for kind of a Y2K 90s vibe with a lot of stickers, like glitter effect on the stickers. And so we did a lot of illustrations for her. Yeah, a lot of these custom illustrations with this sticker effect.
Yep. Bit of tape as well. Nice.
Yeah.
I like it. Yeah.
Yeah. And here is where we could really like use some gradients in Photoshop to create this, like, I don't know what it's called, but it's like sort of a glitter effect.
Yep. Well, let's call it a glitter effect. That's as good as any. Yeah.
That's perfect.
True.
And then I worked a little bit on a UI aspect of her website as well.
Yeah.
So yeah,
so
like my
custom bits in there.
Yeah. My background is actually I did go to university, but I studied web technology. So I did a lot of programming and figured out that I actually really hate that.
I did read that actually when I was reading about you. I did read that.
Yeah.
You decided you didn't want to do that. Because you worked in retail as well for a little while, didn't you?
Yes, I did. I worked in retail for really long.
Yeah.
And then I just figured I didn't have any way to like be creative there other than like moving the clothing around. I wanted to just do more. So I applied for university, got in, and then back then I was super into web design, and thought that would be fun. Studied for 2.5 years, was about to do my graduation essay and figured that, nope, I don't like this.
Well, fair play to you for realizing it and acting on it. And it's,
we had like a lot of courses in video production and digital graphics, which was like the courses that I really liked. So I felt like I really wanted to go more into that. And then I applied for community college instead, and I watched a ton of YouTube videos, and that's where I found brand identity design.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and all of this you can check all of this out on your website, can't you?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You can check it all out.
So it does give you a little about bit. Yeah.
Yeah. You have like my projects and a little bit about my backstory.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Great photo.
Yeah.
Love it.
It really captures my personality, I think.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yep. So good, strong colors. That's going down well in the chat. Minimal and bold sounds good to me, says Angus. Sandrine was remarking on the thing I said about the subconscious stuff that you don't think about it doesn't mean it wasn't intentional. The
Yeah.
brain works in mysterious ways. It does.
True.
Yep. We've got Emma in the chat. Hi, Emma. And Liz Mosley. Hi. There too. Yes. Okay then. Right.
Yeah.
So is now that are you gonna how do you want to do it now? Do you have anything more to show before we start, or do you actually want to get in and start?
I was
building some
thinking
stuff?
we could start in Illustrator. So the
Yes.
brief that I'm going to be working on is called Munchies. Should I zoom in a little bit more, maybe? So what I
No, I
usually
think we're good. We
Yeah.
can all say that.
What I usually start with is just reading through the brief and search for any keywords that can describe the vibe that the business owners want the brand to reflect.
Okay.
So here we have funky, fluid, bold, friendly, and somewhat edgy. And what I do is I usually just write down all of the keywords so that I have them whilst I'm working. And then I also added the color palette. Like I said, this is a suggested color palette that we give out with the brief, but there's no need to actually use it.
Yep.
However, I did this brief, so I'm gonna use it.
So can anyone take part in this as well? So they can just go ahead and
anyone.
Yep. And then just pop it onto their Instagram and tag you in it, I guess.
Exactly.
Yep.
I think we say that they should use our specific hashtag and then tag all of us so that we get notified when someone's been posting something.
Cool.
Yes. So what I do then is I write down the keywords, and then I usually move on to Pinterest, where I search for inspiration, like in regards to those keywords. So I look for this one, I was really drawn to the word fluids and funky. So I wanted some fluid typography for this. I don't know. I just feel this connection between the word munchies and like this fluid, funky text. And then I have some pictures of some illustrations that I feel could be fun, not in the logo itself, but on packaging at a later state.
Okay.
And then what I have found is super important to me is when I look for inspiration, I need to like set a timer for myself. I get very easily overwhelmed by the amount of inspiration that there is out there. And I kind of lost track of like what style I want to go with.
Okay.
So I usually do a mood board of like 6 images, where I look a little bit at typography, packaging, colors, and that's it for me.
Yes.
Like it just needs to be very clean, simple, so that I know like I chose this one because of the typography. I chose this one because of the packaging, and then I chose this one because of the illustration. It doesn't need to be like a lot more than that for me, because then it gets a little bit messy for me.
Okay. And so you put all of your reference in the Illustrator document. You don't use any sort of, reference board application or anything like that?
No, not usually.
Yeah.
This is usually just how I do it. Very simple, very easygoing and quick.
Well, Liz Mosley, by the way, who is one of the Adobe Express ambassadors and one of the hosts on this team, she's saying she loves brief challenges and she needs to do more. So she's just followed so she can see your future challenges and get involved. That would
perfect.
Be cool.
We love that.
Yes.
Welcome aboard.
Liz is great. And Sandrine's done exactly the same. So there you go. So you've got more people coming along there as we speak.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And then I am the type of person who likes to actually sketch by hand first.
Yes. Me too.
Yes. I have a very hard time just starting in Illustrator immediately. I need to refine all of those thoughts into like pen and paper where I can erase and redo as many times as I want. Of course, you can do that on your computer too, but I just find it easier to do with pen and paper.
Yes.
Yes. So here I've been working a little bit with this like fluid type. There's some thickness in there to like represent the boldness. And then I was working with very thin variations here as well. And then I got very carried away. So I started drawing some illustrations as well that I felt could be fun. A mouth representing this like yummy munching face.
Yep. But sometimes those things inform the other things that you're doing, even though they're not directly related.
Yeah,
they sometimes do inform it, right? Do you find
exactly.
that?
Yeah, definitely. I don't know, but like I think a logo doesn't need to always be so direct.
Yeah.
It would like it's fun to work with like icons and that, but I prefer doing typography logos, and then working with illustrations and icons within packaging or tissue paper or stuff like that instead.
Yeah. No, I like it. By the way, a couple of other people in the chat also fans of sketching in the first place.
Yeah.
I think part of the reason for that is that you know how to operate a pencil.
Exactly.
And you're not fighting with a piece of software to get it to do what you want.
Precisely.
Do you ever move, although once you start to move before you get to Illustrator, do you ever use anything in between, like Fresco or something like that, to actually draw?
No, I haven't done that yet.
No.
I've been looking into it, but
okay.
Since I just got this drawing pad very recently, and before that I've always used like a mouse or even like the touchpad on my computer to draw out things. And I've always done it directly in Illustrator with either the pen tool or the brush tool.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So when we've got that done, I go and look at some type for the other parts of the, like I've already decided that I'm gonna be drawing this with the pen tool or the brush tool myself. But I want more text in the logo. So like vegan cookies, for example. And I was really inspired by this one where it's like sort of a handwritten type underneath. And I feel like that could really balance this funky vibe that we've got for the overall logo.
I like it. I love those drips, those on the M and the H forming like those oozy, gorgeous bits there. Like,
resembles like dripping chocolate or something similar. Yeah.
It just feels warm. I like it.
Yes, exactly. So usually what I go for then is just the pen tool or the brush tool. I vary between those quite regularly, but this time we're doing the pen tool.
So do you ever set the pencil up in a particular way to work when you're drawing like this?
No, I've already set it up quite good, so I don't feel like I need to like redo it.
Okay.
But I usually alternate between the middle and here for it to be smooth, but I like it to be in the middle because sometimes I like the roughness when I draw. And then I learned this from Abby Connick on Instagram. You can have this selected and then set this up all the way, which makes it able for you to redraw within the shape that you've already drawn.
That's right. Yeah.
And I've also set this option key toggles to smooth tool. So if I press option, I can smooth this line out immediately.
Absolutely.
And I feel like it's important when you use a drawing pad like this to not draw the entire line at once. I can't do that. My hand doesn't want to operate that way. So I like to just draw a little bit at a time.
That's a good approach. And that's something you have to be really mindful of, by the way, is when you are doing those kind of things, is if your hand's hurting while you're doing that, stop. Because you're not doing it right. You're not doing it, and you can't sustain that.
No, then something's definitely wrong.
Yeah.
So something like this.
Yeah, that's looking lovely.
And then I switch it so it's all black.
Yep. Melt in the mouth typography, says Sandrine.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm going for here.
So what city are you in Sweden? Just out of interest, tangentially.
It's a very, very, very small town called Markaryd.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. Or not even Markaryd, to be honest. I'm in an even smaller, like, suburb of Markaryd.
Okay.
Yeah. Where I think there's just like 2,500 people or something here.
Wow. That is a tight community, that is.
Yes. Everyone knows everyone.
Yes.
Which has both its pros and cons.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. No, but I studied in Växjö, which is quite a big city, at least compared to where I'm from. And me and my fiance had plans to move there after I graduated, but we just love this tiny little town so much. We both grew up here, so it's just like it's our town.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're happy there, don't change it. These days, you don't need to be. You can be wherever you want to be, pretty much.
Yeah.
It doesn't affect what you're doing.
No, exactly. Especially in this line of work too.
Yes.
When you're a freelance, it doesn't really matter like where in the world you are anymore.
That's it. Work anywhere.
Yeah.
Joanne in the chat saying she already loves it. Stuart saying, I love a good logo design.
Thanks so much, guys.
Yeah. Some nice new people coming in today, which is good.
That's fun.
It is. Honestly, we do, Victoria, have the best community here. Some of these people, in fact, quite a few of the people that are in the chat today have been with the Adobe Live sessions right since they started, and they very rarely missed even one. It's incredible.
Yeah, it really is. I feel like the entire design community is amazing. Like the amount of support you get from everyone is insane. I feel like other lines of work can be super like competitive, but I do definitely feel like the design community overall is much more like community over competition.
I do kind of wonder sometimes what the world would be like if it was people like ourselves and our creative community that ran the countries that we live in.
Oh, yeah.
It'd probably be amazing until you got to the point where, like the flags would change every other week.
Yeah.
We'd be like, we'd be rebranding ourselves going, oh no, I don't like that one anymore. It's too angular.
I don't like these colors anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very, very difficult to maintain that identity.
That's true.
Whose flag is that now? No, I don't know.
Wait, didn't Germany use those colors?
Yes, exactly. Well, I've got Germany on the phone. Germany's just phoning up Belgium going, hang on a minute.
Yeah, that would probably not work out very well.
No. But the spirit in which we approach
Yes.
the world perhaps could, if there was more of that, I think the world would be a lovely place.
I definitely agree with you.
So you're working around that pretty rapidly. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I've always heard that actually, that I work quite fast. And I do. I usually just go with my gut when I design things. And then one of the best things I've learned is to not be afraid to throw out an idea if it sucks halfway through.
Absolutely.
So I usually just, when I start working on a passion project or client work, I usually just go for it. And then if I have gotten like halfway and I don't like it, I actually delete the file completely. Because I also found that if you stare at your work for too long, then you can't even see what's wrong with it anymore.
True.
And I tend to get like a bit attached to my work. So for me, it's just been better to completely delete the files and start over.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, a trick from the world of illustration, which is really, really useful when you're sketching something out, as you may well know already, is to invert it. So like to flip it around a different way. And that's something you can do in Illustrator as well. You can always go ahead. Nice use of the shape builder there, by the way. So you snuck that in. That's something you can do in Illustrator as well. You can always go to the view menu and come down to canvas rotation and spin it around. Because I think if you do that, wander off, get yourself like a glass of water or a cup of coffee, come back and you see it upside down. You see it. It just makes that degree of separation for your brain to kind of work out, does this look balanced? And it's very common in the world of illustration to do that.
Yeah. So here I want just to make it a bit more, like have it follow the shape of the M a bit more.
Okay. Yeah, because quite often in type, they are almost a reflection of the other, right? They're almost mirrored. I mean, I know it's not exactly that, but yeah.
Okay, so I'm just gonna close this one now and have it so that it is all in one line.
Okay. That whole flags thing, by the way, is going down very well in the chat. Sandrine saying Ireland would be like as Italy nicks my Pantone colour. Stuart saying the world would look amazing. Imagine the merch.
Oh yeah, that would be really good.
So yeah. Like it.
And here too, I feel like not every letter needs to be exactly on the line because it's supposed to be a bit fluid and funky anyways.
Yeah. And they're pretty good on the weight there. You can tell that they're related to one another. They're all fairly pretty consistent.
Oh.
Yeah.
So something like this. I think I like that.
Okay. It's cute.
Yeah, I feel like it works. It definitely works with the vibe I was going for here, I think.
Yeah.
So once we have our main logo, I want to play a little bit with these fonts here.
Okay.
And I want to try all three because I really like all three. This one's called Skippy Sharp.
Nice.
This one's called Chantal. I might be butchering these names, but
That's fine.
and then Felt Tip Roman. And this is usually where I have a really hard time making a choice.
So Liz Mosley in the chat is asking, how long do you normally spend on one of your fictional briefs? How much time do you, or how does it work for you?
Usually I spend about maybe 3 to 4 days, all in all.
Wow.
Just because usually, since we have already made the briefs in advance, we like the ones that I make, I usually have a sense of what I want to create for that brief already. And yeah, like have some sort of thought of how it would look in a various styles.
Okay.
So I usually work pretty fast, I think, when I start working on the briefs.
I suppose it's a matter of how much you, I mean, like any other design task, really. It depends on how much you get into it. If sometimes things catch you and you end up spending like a lot more time than you planned on them.
Yeah, exactly.
Exploring variations. Yeah.
And then of course it depends a lot on like how much client work I have, or like other things, of course. I know Ayelet does almost every one of our briefs. I don't do all of our briefs. I sometimes make my own, which is a really good tip for anyone wanting to do passion projects. Like, try to cater your passion projects towards clients that you want to work more with. So if food related briefs aren't a part of your niche, or aren't the type of clients that you want to work with, then maybe make your own skincare brand instead.
Good tip.
So I think I don't like this one.
Okay.
But I do think that the top one is it for me.
Yeah, I think that goes pretty well.
Yeah.
I like it. Because it's got the same kind of bounciness to it.
Exactly.
Do you think it is very, you could almost see those as being from the same kind of family of things.
Yeah, like the type of thickness in some of the letters work well with the overall vibe that we have here.
Yeah.
I think that works. And so I'm just gonna copy this and draw that to the side while I outline these ones.
Okay.
And then I just want to work on this a little bit because I think that some of these lines are a bit harsh.
Yep. Nice. By the way, just so you know, we've got about 20 minutes left, so that's all right.
Okay, so once I've made the primary logo, I usually go and I'm going to go and move forward to the logo mark immediately because I haven't got any ideas for the secondary logo just yet.
Okay.
But immediately when I created this M, and I feel like you could kind of see that from my sketch too, that the M here is what I kind of wanted to use as my my logo mark.
Yep.
And I feel like we could either use the M just as is, it would also be fun to use the dot from the eye here. Oops. Wasn't supposed to remove that.
There we go.
Maybe use this dot from the eye here as a dot to that M.
Cool. Liz is asking, by the way, when in your logo designing process do you start to think about color?
When I'm done with the full logo suite, I'd say.
Okay.
I bring in color like at the final steps in the process, because I feel like every logo needs to work in black and in white.
Yeah.
And
agreed.
Another thing that's super important is, of course, the fact that it needs to be scalable.
Yep.
So this text probably wouldn't do well if I scaled it down very small, but if I scaled this down, you'd still be able to like read it.
Yep. I did notice on your Instagram, actually, when I was looking, that you'd actually done 3 tips, I think,
Yeah.
on there, and those things are in it. You know, make
Yeah.
it scalable, make sure it works in black only. Yeah.
Exactly.
Those are all good practice things too.
So
Melanie's asking, oh, sorry. Carry on.
No.
No, I was just going to say, Melanie's asking, do you collaborate on your fictional briefs, or are they usually just solo projects?
They are usually just solo projects. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think something like this
And Sean in the
could work, actually.
Sean, by the way, in the chat has noticed that the M does resemble the upper lip of one of your sketches.
True.
So there's that nice link between those things, one informing the other.
Yeah, that's actually true. I was having a little thought of maybe connecting those, like getting rid of the driplet part here and this part, and maybe making like a sort of rolling stone mouth with the tongue and things like that. That would be cool.
Yeah. Ruby Mazur.
Is it called that?
No, that's who designed. That was the designer.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, but I think something like this, and I still don't really. The thing is, when I do passion projects like this, I don't always make a full logo suite. Either because I don't have the time, or I feel like there are no other logo variations that I feel like this needs. So I'm gonna use the colors that we've got here.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like this, like it works pretty well. I'm happy with this.
Yeah, it's good. Working well. Sandrine loving the colors, by the way.
Thank you.
So what would be your, if you could pick any one client that you would love to work with, who would you love to work with most?
Like a real one or a fictional
Yeah, like
one?
a real one, yeah. You never know who's watching, Victoria.
No, that's true.
You know, that might be the dream brand that you want to work with, might actually be sat thinking, oh, I'm going to watch Adobe Live for a bit. You know, so who would you like to work for?
Honestly, I've never really thought about it like that. I
Hmm.
just know like what type of industry that I really like to work with.
All right. Okay.
And it is the
Hmm.
skincare beauty industry.
Hmm.
I would love to work with a cookie or like food business that's quite funky and edgy like this too.
Yeah.
Just because I don't do it often, but I do like to draw out logos like this and just have my own twist on them, I guess. Because
Yeah.
this for me is completely unique. I know that this logo is completely all mine. I drew it on paper first.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
usually it's I choose like type and then I customize the type afterwards. So it's not very often that I draw the complete logo like this first.
I think I'm going to create one. I'm going to create one of my own briefs this week. I think I
Yeah,
might
do
join
that.
in on. I think I'm going to join in on yours. I'm going
You
to create one of
should.
my own. I'm going to do something like tech noir sneakers or something like that.
You really should. You really should. Yeah.
I think so.
But yeah, I think that's it for my logo process, honestly.
Cool. So Malin is asking in the chat, how did you learn all of this, Victoria? Did you do more studies after the web design program, or are you a self-taught graphic designer?
I say a little bit of both.
Yes.
Of course, I learned a lot about the overall design theory at university.
Okay.
The whole like the design principles, hierarchy, and yeah, typography hierarchy, and contrast, and like all of that stuff I
Yeah.
did learn in university. But execution wise, of course, we had some projects at school too, but the level that I consider myself today is definitely self-taught.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think as long as you've covered the foundational elements of design, you're not in that bad a territory, really.
Yeah, no, and I think that I don't believe that everyone actually needs to go to design school. I don't think it should be mandatory or anything like that, but I do think that getting the basics of design theory, color theory, is super important just to like know the rules before you break the rules.
Right. That's the important thing, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think clients have become much more relaxed over the last sort of 10 years or so about
Hmm.
who they hire. I mean, back many years ago, you kind of had to prove what you'd studied in order to work anywhere. You had
Yeah.
to, but that was in the days before social media, of course, where you could just go and have a look at something. You'd have to lug a portfolio around and then prove where you'd studied how to do that. That would be before anybody would consider paying you to do it. It's
Mm. Yeah, definitely.
yeah.
I think so too. Like there's not really no one's like looking for a designer because they like have studied design anymore.
Yeah.
It's more like I feel like a lot of clients go for a designer because of their style, which is definitely
Mm.
what I think everyone should do. Like you should pick a designer that has a certain style or works in a certain style that you like and that you would like for your brand.
Yeah. Yes. I kind of like that where that's dripping out of there like that, leading out
Yeah.
of that shape. Yes. And so would you from here then create mock-ups based on different things from there normally? I mean, I'm not talking about right now, but I mean, would you onward from here, what would be your next steps on basically into Photoshop with those to map them onto different things? Or
I would probably maybe have a sit down and maybe write down what what kind of things that a brand like this would need. So packaging, maybe I would create some social assets for them, like some highlight covers for Instagram, some post templates. Yeah, like all kinds of things that this brand could need. I would write that down on a list, and then I would, since it's a fictional project, I would think about what I like doing most. So as I mentioned before, for this, I would love to incorporate some illustrations. I just feel like that would be super fun for a brand like this. And I feel like that would work really well within packaging. You could create some cool sticker effects for this, where it could work as like digital stickers or like Instagram stickers. You could make GIFs from this, would be really cool too.
Yep.
So I would probably move on with creating a list of items that I want to keep working on, and then I'd create illustrations if I see that it fits.
Yeah.
Maybe create like a brand pattern. I don't always do that, but they're fun to do.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Just a quick question, by the way, from Sandrine. What's the thing you wished you'd learned at uni that you discovered by yourself? That's a good question, Sandrine. I like it.
Oh, that's a really good question.
It's a tricky one, isn't it, as well?
Yeah,
You just
really,
have to kind
really
of
tricky.
scan all of the things that you've picked up.
I think maybe the whole like freelance aspect. No one teaches you how to work with clients at design school, or not the university where I was working, where I was studying.
That was a module on mine. That was a module on mine. We
had to do
a business and accounting module.
Yeah. I feel like that's maybe uncommon. I don't know, but no one actually taught me how to work with a brief and work with a client like in design. There was just it's just very, very, very theory based, which is good too, of course. But yeah, a lot of the practical things would be good to know.
I could recommend you a couple of good books actually, which are fun. One of them is by a friend of mine, Bonnie Siegler, called Dear Client.
Yeah, perfect.
Which is
I
fantastic.
love books.
Actually, that's behind me, just down here. There you go. If I just pop that up to the camera just now, there you go. Bonnie's book, Dear Client, which is actually something that you should give to all of your clients.
Yeah.
So they know how. So that flipping around what you just said there, so the opposite way around, it's getting clients to learn how to deal with designers.
Yeah,
or to work with designers. And there's a book by someone called Emily Cohen called Brutally Honest, which deals much more. Actually, that might not be too far away either. Oh, there you go. See, there's Brutally Honest by Emily Cohen. A bit more of a significant read, that one.
Yeah.
But handy book for those kind of things. We ought to do book corner on Adobe Live sometimes, I think. But
yeah, you should.
Yeah, I think so. I think so, but it is tricky.
Yeah.
Angus in the chat saying business side of things not generally taught in design, touched on, but not real life stuff. I know it is rare.
Yeah.
To do it, but mine did do it, but it is rare to have that.
We did have a course in like accounting and like how to kind of lead a project, or like how you start a project, but not like the general like, here's a fictional brief, please do this for us. Right.
I mean, it's the whole accounting side of it. That for us was, we didn't actually have to sit there and do bookkeeping, but we had to have an understanding of what things we were responsible for when we were doing it.
Yeah,
it's thoroughly good. But Sandrine's saying, I remember that when I went to art school a long time ago, we weren't meant to have clients, which is silly. Artists sell to people. That's true if you're doing fine art. And Sandra, and also when I was in photo school, we were briefly taught to run a studio. Angus likes the idea of bookshelf treat time.
Yeah, I really think that's a good idea. You should do it.
And Liz has picked up on a couple of those books that I recommended before, so that's kind of cool. But yes.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for spending this time with us, Victoria. It's been really lovely meeting you and watching you through your process. Enjoyed it a lot.
I 100% agree. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. As long as you had fun here, and you'll come back and see us at some future point, I'm sure.
Definitely. I would love that.
Okay. Unfortunately, what I didn't do, which I'm supposed to do, is load up for who's on tomorrow. So I'm going to apologise for that. I'm supposed to have that information in my head, but we were so busy having giggles before we actually started that I didn't manage to do that. But anyway, we're here every day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday at midday. So come along and join us tomorrow. Thanks for joining us today. But from myself and Victoria, right now, it's time to say cheerio. So thanks ever so much, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.